You know that moment when you're absolutely starving. You sit down with your meal, and before you even realize it, the plate's empty. And then, 10 minutes later, you feel like you swallowed a bowling ball? Yeah, we've all been there. But here's the thing, your doctor wasn't just being annoying when they told you to slow down at the dinner table. There's actually some pretty wild science behind why eating slowly might be one of the simplest health hacks you're completely ignoring. I'm talking about real measurable differences in your weight, your digestion, even your risk for serious diseases. And no, this isn't some wellness influencer nonsense. This is backed by actual medical research. So let's dig into why something as simple as chewing your food a few more times could seriously change your health. The 20-minute rule. Here's where it gets interesting. Your stomach and your brain are having a conversation during every single meal, but they're on a bit of a delay. When you start eating, your stomach begins stretching and releasing hormones like cholecystokinin and peptide YY. These are basically your body's "I'm getting full" signals. But here's the catch. It takes about 20 minutes for these messages to actually reach your brain and register as fullness. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism found that when people ate the same meal at different speeds, those who ate slowly had significantly higher levels of these satiety hormones. We're talking about a measurable difference in your body's ability to tell you when you've had enough. So when you inhale your lunch in 5 minutes, you're essentially eating blind. Your brain has no idea you're full until you've already gone way past the point of no return, the weight connection. Now let's talk about something that hits close to home. For a lot of us, weight management. Researchers at Kyushu University in Japan followed over 60,000 people for several years. And what they found was pretty eye-opening. People who reported eating quickly were significantly more likely to be overweight or obese, compared to those who ate at a normal or slow pace. And we're not talking about a tiny difference here. Fast eaters had about a 42% higher chance of being obese. Think about that for a second. Nearly half your risk just from how fast you're shoveling food into your mouth. Another study from the University of Rhode Island had women eat the same pasta meal on 2 separate occasions, one time eating as quickly as possible, the other time putting their fork down between bites and chewing thoroughly. The slow eating session? They consumed about 70 fewer calories on average, and more importantly, they felt more satisfied afterward. 70 calories might not sound like much, but do that twice a day, and you're looking at almost 15 pounds in a year, just from eating slower. What happens in your gut? But it's not just about eating less. What happens in your digestive system is equally fascinating. When you chew your food properly, and I mean really chew it, like 20 to 30 times per bite instead of the 5 or 6 most of us do, you're doing half the work your stomach would otherwise have to do. Your saliva contains enzymes like amylase that start breaking down carbohydrates right there in your mouth. The more you chew, the more surface area you create for your stomach. Acid and digestive enzymes to work on. A study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that people who chewed each bite 40 times absorbed more nutrients from their food. Compared to those who chewed 15 times, better absorption means your body is actually getting more out of what you're eating. Plus, when you eat too fast, you're swallowing a lot more air, which leads to bloating, gas, and that uncomfortable stuffed feeling we all hate. Your intestines have to work overtime to process these large, poorly chewed chunks of food, and that's when things start going wrong. Blood sugar and metabolism. Here's something that really surprised me when I started researching this. Eating speed affects your blood sugar levels. A study published in Diabetologia, which is basically the gold standard journal for diabetes research, found that eating quickly was independently associated with insulin resistance and higher blood glucose levels. This is huge because insulin resistance is basically the express lane to type 2 diabetes. When you eat slowly, your body has time to release insulin in a more controlled, gradual way. When you eat fast, especially carbohydrate-rich foods, you get this massive spike in blood sugar, followed by a crash. And over time, your cells become less responsive to insulin. Your pancreas has to work harder and harder until eventually it can't keep up. The researchers found that people who ate slowly had better glycemic control, even when controlling for other factors like body weight and exercise. That's your metabolism working more efficiently, just because you took an extra 10 minutes to finish your meal. If you're finding this interesting, do me a favor and hit that like button. It really helps get this information out to more people who need to hear it. Heart health connection. Now, I know what you're thinking. Okay, slower eating helps with weight and digestion. But what about serious health stuff? Well, buckle up because this gets even more interesting. Researchers in Japan, again, they're really ahead of the curve on this stuff, studied nearly 1,000 people and found that those who ate quickly had significantly higher rates of metabolic syndrome. That's the cluster of conditions including high blood pressure, high blood sugar, excess belly fat, and abnormal cholesterol levels that dramatically increases your risk of heart disease, stroke, and diabetes. The people who ate quickly were more than twice as likely to develop metabolic syndrome over a 5-year period. Another study published in Circulation, which is the journal of the American Heart Association, found similar results. Fast eating was associated with a 34% higher risk of developing cardiovascular disease. We're talking about heart attacks and strokes here, not just feeling a bit uncomfortable after dinner. The mechanism seems to be related to everything we've already talked about. The weight gain, the insulin resistance, the blood sugar spikes. They all compound to damage your cardiovascular system over time. The mindfulness factor. There's also a psychological component that we can't ignore. When you eat slowly, you're practicing what researchers call mindful eating. You're actually paying attention to your food, the taste, the texture, the smell instead of mindlessly consuming while scrolling through your phone or watching TV. A meta-analysis of 17 studies on mindful eating found that it was effective for weight loss, reducing binge eating, and improving people's relationship with food. When you slow down, you enjoy your food more. Sounds obvious, right? But think about the last meal you rushed through. Can you even remember what it tasted like? Studies show that people who eat slowly report higher levels of satisfaction and enjoyment from their meals, even when eating the same foods as fast eaters. You're literally getting more pleasure from the same amount of food, just by taking your time. Plus, eating has become this thing we do while multitasking. But it's actually supposed to be a time when your body shifts into rest and digest mode. That's when your parasympathetic nervous system takes over and optimizes digestion. Eating in a stressed, rushed state keeps you in fight or flight mode, which actually shuts down optimal digestion. Practical takeaway. Look, I get it. We're all busy. Taking 30 minutes to eat lunch feels like a luxury most of us can't afford. But even small changes make a difference. Put your fork down between bites. Chew each mouthful 20 times instead of 5. Turn off the TV or put your phone in another room. These tiny adjustments add up. Your body will thank you, your waistline will thank you, and honestly, your food will taste better too. So the next time your doctor tells you to slow down at meals, they're not just giving you generic advice. They're trying to help you avoid obesity, diabetes, heart disease, and a whole cascade of metabolic problems, all with one simple behavior change. Not bad for something that's completely free and takes zero effort beyond a little mindfulness. If you found this helpful and want to see more evidence-based health content, go ahead and subscribe. I'll be breaking down more of these everyday health topics that actually matter. Thanks for watching, and seriously, enjoy your next meal. Take your time with it.